Preparing to go live. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So I don't want to do that. I want to go back to the Zoom. And I want to do this. And then I want to hit record. All right. So here we are. Another tour coach heading at you from on the road. I'm in beautiful West Virginia at a brand new Home 2 Suites. Jackson, you'd love this one. Told everybody earlier, it's next to a dispensary and a massage parlor. I mean, what more does a guy need on the road? Anyways, this is going to be, we've been doing these, trying to do one a week and trying to do them live. Our YouTube live on Dew Sweeper TV is taking everybody by storm. But we've got what I call the brain trust of Dew Sweeperville here. We got Wayne Flint, Jackson Court, and I mean, I can't believe I'm bringing Connor into the brain for us category, but we are for sure doing it. Joining us here on the live pod, going to go Clint, our boy's going to get this out here tomorrow. But guys, welcome to the tour coach, and thanks once again for sitting in. We got a good topic tonight for teachers, people that love to teach the game, that are learning to teach the game, and for people that are trying to get better at golf. I think it hits both. Both nails on the head. Don't jump in there all at once, Jackson. All right, so here's the topic. I'm drinking wine out of a jug doing this. So because I'm out of Epic Westerns, Connor, I give you a hard time a lot of the time, but you have had one of the biggest turnarounds from year to year as a teacher and coach that I've seen. Maybe Wayne could comment on this, but maybe since I was a youngin', and it's been really impressive. I want to talk about your experiences, how you've grown, because I think how you've grown as a teacher and as a person not only can help other teachers, but I think the process that you've gone through can help other players. Because we have the interesting thing to me about this podcast is that we have a lot of teachers that listen and watch this too. So it's kind of dual purpose here. So Connor, let's talk about what the hell happened to you. Did you just roll out of bed and one day decide I'm going to listen to Tony and Wayno, or what the fuck? Or did Chloe tell you to do
it? All of the above.
We gave her a shout out.
Yeah, there you go, Chloe. I think.
Wait, is she there?
No.
Oh, that would be the ultimate.
She'd be peeking in on the corner trying to say hi. I think a lot of it started with, I was sitting in the gym after playing basketball, and I turned my phone on, and I've got this big long text from Tony, and he was like, "Hey, stop talking about all this shit that you know nothing about. Stop talking about all this stuff and do these 4 things." And then Wayne added a couple on the end. And at the bottom of the text, and like it was a great text to receive. At the bottom of the text, it was like, "You've got 3 guys in here that really believe in you, and you've got to go out here and do what we tell you." And that was a big moment for me of like, all right, I took this job because I wanted to learn from them, and I've got to actually do it. And so from there, it was like, before I could get into really learning about the teaching and all of that, I think I had to get my life a little bit more organized and structured as far as priorities go. And that looks like, prioritizing my emails and text messages, and prioritizing a lot of the back end stuff that I've never been good at. And so when I did that and took a couple of months to really learn how to do that stuff, well, then the knowledge I was getting from you guys got way easier to process because my brain wasn't so chock full of random stuff. I think that was the biggest piece for me, was getting really organized, or at least really organized to my standards, with the back end stuff. And that's helped a bunch.
And Wayne, I'm going to throw this to you in a minute next, and then Jackson. But I think that's directly related to golfers too. I think golfers trying to get better are in the same place Connor was as a teacher, where they say all the right things to people like us. I really want to get better. I'll do anything it takes to be successful at this game, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes down to it, they got all this shit in their brain and they've got all these preconceived notions and they're looking at the finish line instead of all the little things they need to do to get good. And I think that's why I thought it'd be cool to do this because, one, we are proud of Connor, even though I'm still going to give him a ton of shit this weekend. But incredibly proud. I mean, I know how proud Wayne is and Jackson is of you, and we're proud of the young folks that come up under us. But I think it's really applicable to both sides. Like I watch, high school kids, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. But like Ethan McGregor said this to me, Wayne, this weekend, and we all know Ethan, one of our elite kids, and the kid's got a great golf swing, and he's getting better and better, and he's starting to have some college look at him. And after playing 9 holes, which I hadn't played in 3 months, I did kick his ass on 9 holes, but that's beside. We'll talk about that later. It's another podcast because I went back to my Wayne Flint golf instruction, kept my knees quiet, and I made a fucking divot. But anyway, so he said to me on like the 8th hole, he goes, T, I've learned something today. And I go, what? He goes, I really do hit it better when I take my time with my setup and the things that you keep telling me to do before I hit
it. Go figure.
I wanted to text his dad and be like, well, 2 years and $48,000 later, we got it, right? But Wayne, talk about that a little bit. This might be our best podcast ever, roasting Connor.
It's amazing. You watch, and just like you and Jackson and I watched Connor for a year. I mean, great guy, and we're all trying to help him, but it was in one ear and out the other. And finally, we had to have some hard conversations. Hey, bro, you want to be broke the rest of your life? It's okay with us, but here we're going to give you a system that you can go by and you can work, and we'll teach you how to be more professional and teach you, how to give better delivered golf lessons. And, when he started trying to do that, when he started paying attention to that and trying to do it, Lord, behold, he started making a little bit more money and teaching a whole lot better golf and getting a little more repeat business and all the things that, that come with having a little bit of success at teaching for a living. And if you jump over to the, to the student side of it, I mean, I had a guy today, and he's a wonderful gentleman. He's a little bit older, but he really wants to get better. And, he's just the epitome of, I really want you to tell me what to do today. And I'll tell him, me in the lesson, we're going to do this one thing. This is what we're going to do. And, 15 minutes later, we're talking about the 38 things he's watched the last three days on YouTube.
How do you like that, Wayne?
Well, that doesn't go very good with me. But I mean, he's a great guy, and I've known him a long, long time. I mean, he's a wonderful Birmingham, successful man. And, I mean, it's my job to get his horses back in the pen, so to speak, and get him back on that one thing. And, today I got him to hang in there with one thing long enough to where we started hitting some good shots. And, at the end of the day, he said, man, that was really a good couple hours we had. And he said, I really feel like we accomplished a lot. We fixed a lot of things. And I was like, well, we fixed, quit trying to do a lot of things, and we started doing one thing, is what I want.
Hold on, I'm writing that down. That's good. That's really Wayne Flint gold right there. We quit trying. What was it, Wayne?
We quit trying to do a lot of things, and we started to get better at doing one thing. And that's what happened today. And, when he left, he was really happy, and we're going to get together a little later in the week for a checkup. And, hopefully we can get him back on the right track, you know? And, you know, hey, T, I saw the same thing, you know, 25 years ago with a guy in flip flops and shorts and t-shirt showing up for an interview and about to start teaching golf at Sandestin Beach Resort. You might remember that guy. I'm not sure, but
I've heard of it.
Yeah, you've heard of it. You know?
You showed up in flip flops.
Yeah,
I didn't have a lot of shoes back then.
that's right. I mean, hey, he came in. He came in with the best he had, right?
Hey, I told the story last night. I had dinner with Ty Gingrich and his mom and dad at the U.S. Amateur last night, and I don't know if y'all have looked at the scores, but how the hell is even par to USAM like in 70-something spot? That golf course at Hazeltine's hard as shit. These kids are getting good. That's all I'm gonna say. But you know, they asked me, hey, how I got my start, and I told them the story, and I told them the story about, you know, I showed up for my interview. I remember Hank called me and asked if I'd meet him at the Starbucks in Sandestin at 9 a.m., like 2 days from now. And I told him, sure, but I didn't have a car. My car had been repossessed. So I borrowed a member's car, and this guy had a big Cadillac. So I go driving, and I pull up. I mean, I don't have $25, $22 in my checking account, and I'm driving this Cadillac over there. But I get out of it, the car, and I've got, you know, the best golf shorts I had at the time, and an old golf shirt, and some flip flops, and Hank just looked at me, and his first words were, "I've got some stuff in a closet for you."
Yep.
Oh shit. So anyways, we could tell those stories all night. But anyway, so Connor.
But it's nice to see Connor. It's nice to see Connor turning the corner and starting to realize that there's more to it than just spewing out verbiage of stuff that you really, you know, that you've seen on YouTube that you really don't know how to teach or how to get over to a student. You know what I mean? And there's really a lot to being able to teach people what you do know how to teach and get them to learn to do it and make them get a little bit better. All the while, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think all four of us are still in a frantic search to learn more and more and more every day because we all want to help people, right? I mean, we really take it seriously, and you know, we want to learn, but you know, sometimes just teaching the stuff that you really know how to teach is good enough to make average golfers better while you continue to build your knowledge base that can take average golfers further and further along as they continue to need more and more and more knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think a lot of young teachers think they have to have, you know, the ultimate knowledge in order to make people better. But you know, sometimes simple knowledge
to give an ultimate golf lesson. I mean, you got to
still pretty good, right? Sometimes simple knowledge is still pretty good. You know, yeah. I mean, and I think if more teaching professionals, you know, learn to get really good at simple knowledge, I think we could grow the game a whole lot faster than we're growing it, because we'd make people better where they could chip and pitch and play and not quit the game because they suck at it so bad. You know, I mean, I just think, you know, I think the better job we can all do of that, I mean, I think we can keep more people in the game that way, and we can certainly grow the young talent to be as good as they can be.
Jackson?
All right, 2 stories to represent Connor's turnaround. And maybe I was under a little bit more of the pressure because I introduced him to T and trying to get him up to Bluebell. So last year, you were up there with him during the summer.
I'm texting Chloe, tell her she needs to watch this.
So I'm down here in Florida sweating, and Tony's up there at Bluebell with Connor, and he just texts me. He goes, Connor just jumped in to a lesson and started talking about braking forces. And that was the only thing that I got from him all day. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Because I know that's going to fire up T. So you flash forward to this year when we were just up there a couple weeks ago, and I got to work with Cade C-Dub. And this is how much
we're going to see him this weekend at our retreat.
Shout out C-Dub.
Awesome. Great kid. But so this is how much Connor's turned around. I was, asking the kid a bunch of questions, and I asked him what he was working on. And he's like, well, I'm making sure my setup's really good, making sure my posture is good. I'm working on my pivot and the plane. And I watched this kid hit some balls, and his posture was stinking perfect, face on and down the line. And his pivot in the backswing was phenomenal. And he understood what he was trying to do with the club, moving it up and down on the plane. And I was like, I don't have it. I would love to do something here, but you don't have to do anything different. Just keep doing this, Connor. Like that turnaround in from the story from last year to there is a perfect representation of why he's done better.
And that I'm going to give you a story about that. Wayne will know where I'm going with this in about 4 seconds. But that's what makes a club and a place develop great juniors. When I walked into the Country Club of Mobile, I taught Bobby Wyatt and I taught Robbie Shelton. Bobby was there, and Wilson McDonald, who I know Jackson and Wayne know very well. And you had all these guys, right? Austin Henson, who's a longtime member at the Country Club, and I spoke on the phone the other day about this. And it's because Woody Woodall was their longtime professional, and he took an interest in making sure every kid had a good grip, good posture, and he let them have free range balls if they chipped them and putted them first and picked them up and then go hit them, right? Because he gave a shit. I mean, and then, since then, all hell's broke. I mean, you got a bunch of nothing, but I mean, that's, it's true. But that's why so many great players came out of Mobile in that stretch, right?
Well, you'll never see a what would it be now? 30-year-old, 40-year-old golfer that came out of the Country Club of Mobile that doesn't have a perfect grip. You'll never see it.
Right. Ever. And
Woody
now I would say
made
this,
them have
they're
perfect
all
grip.
a fraction weaker than I might have taught, but that's how he taught. But they
That's
were
right.
great. But all their postures were great. Every one of them, all their fundamentals. You can go down the list. Like Michael Johnson, Austin Henson, like these guys played college golf. Wilson,
Tommy Druin.
Bobby Wyatt, Tommy Druin. I'm trying to think of all the people that came out of there, right? Like there was
They all played at Alabama and Auburn.
Right. Like all these guys. And it's because Woody Woodall gave a shit. Right. And he cared enough to stand in there. And the cool thing to me too, I remember when Bob brought me over there, it was like when they got to a point they wanted more, he welcomed everybody else in. Right. He was a genius. Woody Woodall's and they've done such a cool deal there by naming this Mid-Am trophy after him and having an event, because Wayne and I came up in Alabama, one of the great golf professionals in the state of Alabama, and not just as a club professional, but as a teacher and developer of young people. So Connor, I think we may even have Chloe watching now. And anyway, so go ahead, tell us from your students' point of view, what are you hearing? What do you see different when you're watching these students? What's your approach? How is it different? And how are you helping? And why are people getting better doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think the golf lessons that I give are a fraction of the amount of information that I would give maybe a year or two ago. And just like Wayne said, I'm only going to go until the point where I fully understand what I'm trying to tell you to do. And if it's anything higher than that, then that's when, I can reach out to you guys and asking, what do you guys think? What would you do? Or heck, we do all these clinics up here, like bring them in front of you when they're here. But the more time that I've spent with Jackson and Wayne and you, it's like, how good can your posture be? How much can you understand how your ball position affects the ball flight? How much can you understand about simple things like hinging it on the plane? How good can you really do it at that from 40 yards to 80 yards to 150 yards? And how much can you balance? I mean, like stupid, simple stuff. But teaching people to stay in balance in a finish and make a backswing in balance with their feet in the ground, like that will do wonders for anybody. And then you add getting the club on the plane in the face square and making a divot, and like you can shoot bogey golf and way better than bogey golf doing those things really good.
You could be a tour player doing those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like,
I got a few need to do it better. It's true. Am I wrong, Wayne?
No, not at all.
Halfway through this bottle of Dark Horse Screw Top, it could get good here.
yeah. And that's, I mean, another thing I'd say is for me, I mean, I don't get to show it maybe as much when you guys are around, but like there's nothing more fun than being on the tee with you guys and like being with other teachers that are having just a blast teaching golf. Like how much I learn in those times when Tony's making everyone laugh and like every there's just all these moving parts, but you get to watch really good things happen. And anybody out there that doesn't spend time around other teachers, whether it's learning, teaching, whatever, like shadowing, you've got to do that. And you've got to take little stuff.
Another thing that we do that I think, and Jackson, you can comment on this, but I think is cool, and I think people listening trying to get better should do this, is, you know, we'll have people come to work and they sit and watch other people work with us. Yeah. And Lucas was the first person that ever did that. And I remember thinking, what the hell is he doing? But like he would, remember that, Jackson, he would sit in the bay at Frederica and he would watch us work with somebody, and then he might chime something in here or there. And then he'd wander out and he'd do his practice, and then he'd come back in and chime in. But like, I encourage people to say like, hey, watch your buddy take this lesson. I think it's really useful. I think it's really good, because I think you can learn from watching another person learn. You know, we probably should have asked Doc that a couple of weeks ago when we had him up there in Philly, Doc Bonacore. And but you know, don't you think that's a pretty cool deal, Jackson?
Yeah, I think your players have been a pretty good testament of that. I think the other two guys that stand out, that three guys, now that you mention it, that actually did that a lot. Andy Ogletree was probably another one that does that a lot. I actually remember Robbie Shelton doing that a whole bunch.
He did. Robbie does it a lot.
Robbie did a lot. Yeah. And then, you know, the other one that does it, and probably a testament to some of his good play, is Will McFadden.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Andy's big on that. Andy likes to just sit around and listen and wanders off, does his deal. Yeah, I agree with him.
And the better players, I've noticed, it always boils down to like a specific shot. It's sure there's maybe a little bit of swing stuff in there, but it's about like what the ball's doing and what that means on the golf course.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'm gonna turn this question goes to Wayne about Connor, but I think in the beginning, when Connor would have a student and the person was reacting to the ball flight, he reacted with them, right? Mm. To every ball. And I think that golfers that are struggling do that. They react to every ball. And I would say that's because Connor hadn't himself figured out the basic things that he believed in the golf swing and stuck to them. So he was reacting to every ball. Wayne, you're one of the greatest of all time at ignoring whatever the hell's going on with the ball and somebody making somebody stick to it. And I think that's a big deal. And I mean, it's hard as a teacher. It's really hard as a young teacher, crazy hard as a player, but you've got to stick with whatever it is the heck you're trying to do and not react ball to ball.
Well, there's no question. You know, I mean, I had two of the best mentors. Well, I've had so many of them. I'm unbelievably lucky, right? But obviously Hank was a big mentor, and you know, he told me this, and I'll never forget one day I was over in Atlanta, and I was still trying to play at this point in time. I still thought I might be good enough to try to make money playing golf, but that I found out that was not the case. But I was over there doing some golf schools in the early days of Chateau Elan in Atlanta with Golf Digest, and this particular school, I was with Dick Altman, who was he was probably more known as a writer than he was a teacher, but he was one of the instructors for the Golf Digest School program, and we were working together in a school, and when we got done, we went out and played 9 holes that evening, and I was playing pretty good, and I was a 1 or 2 under par or something like that, and I'd knocked it up on a par 5, and I was right on the fringe, and I had kind of a little bit of a tight lie, and my tendency was always to take the club back a little inside, and I needed to take it a little straighter back to pinch this ball off the tight lie and get it up there for another birdie to get a little bit deeper. And I kind of hit a little end out, thin shot, and knocked it 8 feet by. And I said something to Dick. I said, "God dang, what did I do wrong that time?" And he goes, and I'll never forget it. I'm gonna say a little off-color verbiage here, but Dick said to me, he said,
I don't allow that on these podcasts.
You don't allow that. He said, "Wayne," he said, "I just got to tell you, you ain't never going to be worth the fuck as a player or a teacher until you quit trying to fix the last shot." And I mean, that was a
write that down, Connor.
That was a hit home really moment for me,
That's the name of this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, that was a hit home moment for me. And, I mean, God rest his soul.
It's the truth, though. And that's what a lot of teachers are doing.
That's what they're reacting to.
Golfer that isn't getting better is doing. They're reacting to the last fucking shot.
And they're reacting to the student and their interpretation of the last shot. And, you hell with all that. I mean, you've just got to make your mind up what you're trying to work on with the student. And you've got to stay the course with them. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to think you're the greatest guy every minute of every lesson. But, hey, our job is to try to make these people better, right? And you've got to provide good, solid information. You got to stay the course with them, and I think that's what Connor's starting to really learn how to do, and I think it's showing up there at Bluebell. I mean, he's doing great, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him now.
Jackson, a couple thoughts from you and a couple thoughts from Connor, because that was Wayno. Once again, you come out, you're the star of the show.
I think my parting shot would be to never lose the curiosity in getting better, because that's one thing I really appreciate with Connor. He always wants to be better and wants to learn it now, which is great. Don't ever lose that, because that curiosity will always push you. But then you always have to have confidence in the things that you know what and how to do right now. And I think that stands for players too. Like I'm just thinking about a young kid that I'm working with. Like, he wants to be really good and hit all the shots right now, and I don't think he has them, but I think if he continues to stay the course and have confidence, eventually he will. I mean, he's 14 right now, but in a couple of years I think he'll be really good. But I think it's that balance between the curiosity and the confidence in what you're doing.
I love it. That's awesome. Wayno, and any other parting thought before we go to Connor?
No, I think
you've hammered him plenty.
Exactly right. I mean, I show up every day trying to learn more. I mean, you and I talk all the time, and I'm asking you questions all the time. I don't know everything. I don't know anything some days, and I'm trying to get little tidbits here and there. I called Jackson the other day. What was it, Jackson? A week or two ago, and I said, "Jackson, I just saw this video you put out of this kid. How did you get him to go from that first video to that second video? What did you tell him?" And I said, "Because I have trouble getting my kids to do what your kid did on that second video. What did you tell him?" So, I mean, I'm asking Jackson, because I don't know everything. Nobody does. If we knew everything, our players would win every week, right? I mean, so, I'm curious every day. I call Jackson, I call you, I talk to Connor a lot. You know, him and I are on the phone and shooting videos back and forth to each other, and I'm listening to him as much as probably more than he's listening to me. Connor, you need to work on that a little bit. You need to start listening more. but I do. I'm listening all the time, whether it's good stuff, bad stuff. I'm listening because I'm trying to pick up anything I can that will help me.
Right.
Yeah.
Connor, parting thought from you.
Man, I think that you guys
Needs
need
to be
to.
deep.
What'd you say?
Needs to be deep.
All right. All right. So I think you guys need to know how much of an impact that you have on young teachers. And I think when you're walking through the PGA show and like other teachers come up and say hi to you, like that guy's going to remember that. I remember exactly when Wayno came up and chatted with me. I'd only met him once before that at PGA show. Stuff like that. Like that means a bunch. And then
were you wearing golf shoes and a visor with a glove in your back pocket at the PGA show? Because if you were, that would be one reason why he wouldn't talk to you again. Need some advice. If you're fucking inside at the PGA show, don't wear golf shoes, don't wear a visor, and don't have a glove in your back pocket. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, so like I think that's important.
Picks.
And then aside from that, like there's a lot of people that I know personally that are great teachers with a really tough have a really tough job doing the right things on the back end, and like I think that just kills them. And it was because I had people like you guys that told me the hard things that not many people want to hear, but you guys were willing to say it, and that was huge.
They're good at that.
Yeah, but there's not enough people that do that. Too many people will just try to be nice and beat around the bush. But Wayne and Tony have always said the hard thing that no one wants to hear, and I love it.
Yeah,
because it's right.
I got to get better at doing it too. Sometimes I'm not as good. I don't think I'm as good at it with players sometimes as I need to be. I always look at things in retrospect, like players. What could I have done different? What could I do different? I think at times you get comfortable with players and you don't, and you don't say some of the things you need to say. But I always go back to what Woody told me one time. He said, well, you better tell them the truth because you're going to get fired if you tell them and you're going to get fired if you don't. So you might as well tell them. Right?
Good.
And he's true. And he's right. And Connor, awesome stuff. You've done a hell of a job. If anybody's out there around the Philadelphia area, go see Connor Luke into this season or next season. But the main thing is like how many people you're teaching now. That tells you you're doing better, right? And like you said, we're seeing videos of people that are getting better, and we're having success stories, and that's what it's all about. And Jackson, you're doing awesome down there. So proud of you at Atlantic Beach, and hopefully your back keeps getting better because we need you at the Jingle Bell this year. You and Big Ed, planning on having you guys back. Wayno, thanks for everything, man. You've been with us from the very beginning, and thank God you picked up that 20 that was blowing across the parking lot at the Waffle House.
Right.
When I was living on $5 a day. But anyways, great stuff. Great. So we can do this. We ought to do one where we just tell stories, but which is shit pretty much what we do. But anyways,
I thought that's what we did tonight.
Wait, I thought this was like a seminar.
There you go. That's right. You should get continuing education for this, right? You should, or you pay $99.95. Come listen to us. Right? Preach, brother. Somebody's gonna post that. Somebody's gonna post this picture on their Instagram. Preach, brother. They're telling you what to do. All right. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. Appreciate y'all. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks. We got to get this group together again and keep doing podcasts. That sounds great. Let's do it. You guys are the best.